Have you ever started a new job and just felt something was a little off? Or maybe you've worked in a place that just clicked, where everything felt right. Well, that invisible thing, that feeling in the air that shapes our entire work life, that's organizational culture. And we're about to pull back the curtain on this powerful, often unseen force to figure out what it is, and way more importantly, how you can use it to your advantage. You ever hear stuff like this at work? Don't tell the boss. Just don't bring it up. These aren't just little bits of advice. Oh no, these are massive warning signs. They're signs of a dangerous culture, one where people are way more concerned with telling the bosses what they think they want to hear instead of telling them the truth. At General Motors, this problem got so bad, it actually had its own nicknames. You had the GM nod, where everyone in a meeting would nod along, agree, and then do absolutely nothing afterward. And then there was something even worse, the GM salute, where people would literally cross their arms and point fingers to shift blame onto other departments. This is a textbook example of a go-along-to-get-along culture, and it's a huge, huge red flag for any company. So yeah, let's talk about this corporate nod. It's not just a GM problem, it's a symptom of a much deeper issue you see in all sorts of places. It's what happens when a culture of fear or just plain apathy lets major problems hide in plain sight. But what's really causing it? Well, to figure that out, we've got to dig a little deeper. See, to really get to the bottom of something like the corporate nod, we can't just look at what people are doing on the surface. We have to look at the very personality of the organization itself. And that is really what we're talking about here. That's organizational culture. Sure, you can have the textbook definition, a system of shared beliefs and values that guides behavior. And that's fine, but I absolutely love this much simpler way of thinking about it. It's the company's personality, right? Is it energetic and scrappy? Is it careful and traditional? That personality, that vibe, ends up driving pretty much everything. And a fantastic way to visualize this whole idea is the culture iceberg. Just like a real iceberg, you've got the small part you can actually see sticking out of the water. That's the observable culture. But then there's the massive, much more powerful part hidden underneath the surface. And that's the core culture. This is where it all clicks into place. Above the water, in that observable culture, you've got things like the stories everyone tells, the company heroes people look up to, the daily rituals, the office layout, all that stuff. But every single one of those things is driven by what's below the surface, the core culture. That's where the real values and the deep underlying beliefs live. That GM nod, that was an observable ritual, but it was driven by a core belief that avoiding conflict was more important than solving problems. Okay, so if a bad culture creates roadblocks like the GM nod, what happens when a culture is great? Well, it stops being a problem and it becomes an engine for progress. The right culture can become a seriously powerful innovation engine, the very thing that pushes the entire organization forward. And look, innovation isn't just some fluffy buzzword. It's defined very clearly as the process of developing new ideas and putting them into practice. That last part is so important. An idea is just an idea. It doesn't become an innovation until people are actually using it. Now, innovation isn't just one big thing. It usually comes in two main flavors. First, you've got product innovation. That's all about the what, creating totally new stuff or improving what you already sell. But just as important is process innovation, which is all about the how, finding smarter, faster, better ways of actually doing things. Let's make this super clear with a couple of examples you'll definitely know. Apple's iPhone, that's classic product innovation. It was a brand new thing that created an entire market. On the other hand, Amazon's one-click ordering system is a masterclass in process innovation. It didn't change what you were buying, but it totally changed how you bought it, making it incredibly easy. But then there's this third type, and honestly, this one can be the biggest game changer of all: business model innovation. This is when you come up with a completely new way to make money. Just think about Netflix. They didn't invent movies, they didn't even invent streaming at first, but they blew up the whole business model, switching from pay-per rental to a monthly subscription, and they completely took over an industry. Okay, so we know a strong, innovative culture is the goal. But here's the thing. These cultures don't just appear out of thin air. If an organization is stuck with a bad culture, how do you actually change it? Well, that takes a very specific skill. You have to learn how to lead change. A change leader is not just a manager. They're the people who take the initiative, who see a problem and actively try to change how things are done. They're the opposite of what you might call status quo managers, the ones who like things just the way they are and just kind of wait for things to happen to them. So, how do you actually lead that change? Well, there's a brilliantly simple model from psychologist Kurt Lewin. It's just 3 steps. First, you unfreeze the current situation. You have to make everyone see why the change is so necessary. Second, you make the change itself. You implement the new ways of doing things. And third, and this is key, you refreeze everything, making sure the new behaviors stick and become the new normal. Now, this might seem basic, but having a simple process like this is absolutely crucial. Without some kind of framework, most change efforts just fail. This is exactly how you fight back against the GM nod, where everyone agrees to change, but nothing happens. Unfreeze, change, refreeze. That's the foundation that makes real change actually stick. All right, let's bring all this home and focus on the person who matters most in all of this. You. Because understanding corporate culture isn't just some high-level exercise for executives. It's about you finding your perfect fit in the world of work. Just listen to this quote from the CEO of the Container Store. He says they are very clear not everyone fits in this quirky company, and they put people through 7 or 8 interviews. Why? Because they are fiercely protecting their culture. The best companies know exactly who they are, and just as importantly, who they are not. And really, that's what this all boils down to. Finding a great fit between you and a company's culture isn't just a nice to have, it is one of the most important things for your own success and your own happiness. It's about finding a place whose personality truly matches yours, so you can thrive without having to pretend you're someone else. So, I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you're facing a big decision, let's say you've got 2 amazing job offers on the table. Think back to everything we just talked about, that cultural iceberg, the observable rituals, the stories people tell. How are you going to use that to uncover the real core culture of each company before you say yes?